December 27th, 1991. It's a frigid winter morning at Stockholm Arlanda Airport. Scandinavian Airlines Flight 751, a McDonnell Douglas MD-81, stands quietly at the gate, preparing for the first leg of its journey to Copenhagen, then on to Warsaw. The aircraft, reliable and well-maintained, has just been de-iced, a routine step in Sweden's snowy climate. On the flight deck are Captain Stefan Rasmussen, a former fighter pilot with over 8,000 hours of flying time, and First Officer Ulf Cedermark, also seasoned and capable. They've flown together before. Nothing about this day feels unusual. Not yet. But hidden from view is a silent threat. Despite the de-icing, a thin layer of clear ice has built up inside the engine inlets, a place not easily visible to the ground crew. That ice, lodged deep in the compressor intakes, has refrozen overnight. It clings stubbornly to the inner walls, unnoticed and undisturbed, waiting for the engines to spool up. At the runway, Flight 751 lines up for takeoff. The MD-81 accelerates down the icy tarmac, the engines roaring as the plane lifts into the gray morning sky. At first, everything seems normal, but within seconds, chunks of dislodged ice shoot backward into both engines. The compressor blades shatter, flames flicker. Suddenly, both engines begin to surge and fail. The cockpit fills with warning lights and alerts. Both engines lose power almost simultaneously. In an instant, the aircraft becomes a powerless glider, barely a few thousand feet above the frozen Swedish countryside. There's no time to turn back, no chance to reach a runway. Captain Rasmussen takes the controls. Cool-headed and calm, he quickly scans the landscape below. Snow-covered trees, frozen lakes, scattered homes. The only option? An open field near the village of Gotrora. He begins the descent, gently guiding the powerless plane toward a frozen field below. The engines are silent. Only the rush of wind and the occasional creak of the airframe fill the cabin. Passengers hold their breath, clinging to their seats, fully aware of what's coming. The McDonnell Douglas skims the treetops, branches tearing at its wings. Then, with a deafening crash, it slams into the frozen field. The fuselage shudders, then splits apart, first the tail, then the midsection, breaking violently into 3 shattered pieces, scattered across the snow. Against all odds, the aircraft doesn't catch fire. Everyone on board survives. These are some of the final words captured from the cockpit of Scandinavian Airlines, Flight 751.
Have a problem with our engines. Please to go back to Arlanda. 751, roger, turn right, 31A. We're maintaining heading right now, but we are trying to make a restart of the engines and make a slow turn to the left. Om han kan inte hålla höjden. Ja, ska han in till 19 kanske? Jag vet inte än. Vi kan ta till vad som helst. Han håller på att starta om motorn här på 700. Han är ju 700 fot eller om det för. Ja, men det vet han. Har du dragit larmet? Nej, visst det, men vi måste... Stockholm, Scandinavian 751, vi havererar i marken här. Han havererar.
April 4th, 1977. It's a typical spring afternoon in Huntsville, Alabama. Southern Airways Flight 242, a McDonnell Douglas DC-9, sits patiently at the gate, preparing for its final flight of the day. The aircraft, sleek and sturdy, is part of a fleet that connects small towns across the American South with bigger cities like Atlanta. The crew is experienced. Captain William McKenzie, with nearly 20,000 flight hours under his belt, and First Officer Lyman Keel, a military-trained pilot new to the DC-9, but skilled nonetheless. They have spent the day making regional hops, and now the last leg awaits, a short 30-minute flight to Atlanta. As Flight 242 prepares to taxi, no one aboard knows that the weather they see is only the beginning of a violent storm system that will soon engulf them. Back in the 1970s, weather detection wasn't as reliable. Planes sometimes flew directly into violent storms, with devastating consequences. At the runway, Flight 242 lines up and accelerates down the strip. The aircraft lifts off smoothly, climbing toward a turbulent sky. Passengers glance nervously out the windows as lightning flickers in the distance. As the plane climbs through 10,000 feet, the storm moves swiftly toward them. Heavy rain begins to pound the fuselage. The cockpit radar blinks urgently. A wall of thunderstorms lies ahead. Captain McKenzie decides to navigate around the worst of the weather. but the storm's speed makes it difficult. Wind shear and turbulence shake the plane violently. Passengers grip armrests, and flight attendants brace themselves. Suddenly, the aircraft was pummeled by large hailstones, shattering the windshield and causing catastrophic damage to both engines. With one engine dead and the other struggling, the DC-9 loses power fast. The pilots declare an emergency. They prepare for a risky descent to find a safe place to land. Captain Mackenzie spots a highway below, a long stretch of road flanked by power lines and trees. It's the only chance to get down safely. With incredible skill, he guides the crippled plane toward the highway, avoiding cars and obstacles as best he can. Passengers brace for impact. Flight 242 crashes onto the highway in a desperate, violent attempt to land. Emergency crews rush to the scene, battling fire and tending to the injured. The crash kills 72 people, but many survive, thanks to the crew's quick thinking and bravery in the final moments. These are some of the final words from the cockpit of Southern Airways Flight 242.
We just got our windshield busted and we'll try to get it back up to 15. We're at 14. Another 242, you say you're at 14 now? No, couldn't help it. Our left engine just cut out. Did you say you lost an engine and busted the windshield? Yes, sir. But the other engine going too. Another 242 second? Right now, we lost both engines. We're putting on the highway, we're down to nothing.
Have you ever experienced a dangerous situation in the sky? Let me know in the comments. I'd really love to hear about it. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, consider subscribing and giving the video a like. It helps more than you might think. And now, back to the video. May 26, 1991. It's a warm, humid night in Bangkok, Thailand. Lauda Air Flight 004, a Boeing 767-300, stands quietly at Don Mueang International Airport. The wide-body twin-jet is preparing for its journey to Vienna, Austria, with 223 people on board. Lauda Air, a small Austrian airline founded by former Formula One champion Niki Lauda, is known for its high standards, attentive service, and personal touch. Though small, the airline has earned a loyal following and a reputation for doing things right. The aircraft, nearly brand new, reflects that pride, well-maintained, spotless, and modern. On the flight deck are Captain Thomas Welch, a seasoned American pilot with over 11,000 hours of experience, and First Officer Joseph Thurner, an Austrian national and accomplished aviator. They've flown together before. They know the route. Everything about this flight feels routine. The takeoff is smooth. The plane climbs steadily into the dark sky, banking westward over the Thai countryside. The lights of Bangkok fade behind them. The aircraft continues its climb, cleared to 31,000 feet. The mood is calm. Passengers settle in for the long-haul overnight journey. Cabin lights dim. Flight attendants begin their service. Nothing seems out of place. But inside the left engine, a silent and deadly failure is lurking. A tiny fault in the thrust reverser system, a mechanism designed to help slow the aircraft on landing, has gone undetected. It's hidden deep in the electrical and hydraulic logic of the jet. It's not supposed to activate mid-air. It's not allowed to. But due to a flaw in the design and control system, it can. Suddenly, with no warning, the left engine's thrust reverser deploys. The effect is catastrophic. The plane yaws violently. The nose pitches down. The autopilot disconnects. Alarms scream in the cockpit as the aircraft enters an unrecoverable dive. The pilots fight back with full opposite rudder, trying desperately to regain control. But the forces are too great. The stress on the airframe builds rapidly. Within seconds, the 767 breaks apart mid-air. Debris scatters across the jungle in western Thailand. There are no survivors. The crash of Flight 004 is one of the deadliest involving a Boeing 767, and one of the most mysterious. It leaves investigators puzzled. Thrust reversers are never supposed to deploy in flight. But eventually, evidence points to a design vulnerability Boeing had long considered extremely unlikely. There are no publicly available original recordings from the cockpit, but here's a recreation of how it might have happened. January 31st, 2000. It's a cool afternoon at, sorry for my pronunciation, Licenciado Gustavo Diaz Ordaz International Airport in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Alaska Airlines Flight 261, a McDonnell Douglas MD-83, stands at the gate preparing for its journey north to Seattle, with a scheduled stop in San Francisco. The aircraft, well-used, dependable, and freshly serviced, has recently passed its routine maintenance checks. Everything seems in order. On the flight deck are Captain Ted Thompson and First Officer Bill Tansky. Thompson, 53, is a veteran pilot with over 17,000 flight hours. Tansky, 57, is equally experienced, with more than 8,000 hours. They've flown together before and work smoothly as a team. Nothing about this flight feels unusual. The MD-83 begins its slow taxi toward the runway. A short pause, then the engines spool up. The aircraft accelerates and lifts off into the soft afternoon light. As the plane climbs, the hills of western Mexico fall away, replaced by open ocean. By 4:30 p.m., Flight 261 is cruising smoothly above the Pacific. Calm skies, smooth air, nothing out of the ordinary. But hidden deep inside the tail of the aircraft is a silent threat. A tiny component, no bigger than a soda can, is already failing. It's part of the horizontal stabilizer trim system, the mechanism that controls the angle of the tailplane and helps keep the aircraft stable in flight. Here's how it works. At the back of the plane, an electric motor turns a long metal rod called the Acme screw. This screw moves a nut, the Acme nut, up or down, and that movement tilts the tail surface to keep the aircraft balanced. It's like adjusting the trim on a boat or the counterweight in an elevator. Normally, this system is strong, smooth, and well lubricated. But on this plane, the grease inside the Acme nut has worn away, and over time, friction has slowly eaten through the threads. Tiny metal shavings have been collecting for months. The nut is nearly stripped, and no one knows it yet. As Flight 261 cruises high above the Pacific, the first sign of trouble appears. The pilots feel a slight nose-down movement. They check their instruments. Something's not right with the stabilizer. They try to adjust it, but the trim system won't respond. It's jammed. They call maintenance and run through checklists. But moments later, the jam suddenly breaks free. The entire tailplane shifts, violently, pitching the nose of the aircraft straight down. In the cabin, passengers are thrown against their seatbelts. Food trays fly. Some begin to scream. The MD-83 drops over 6,000 feet in just 80 seconds. Somehow, the crew manages to regain partial control. They level the plane. They request an emergency diversion to Los Angeles. For a brief moment, it seems like they might just make it. But then, at 4:19 p.m., 20 miles off the California coast, the Acme nut fails completely. With no threads left to hold the screw in place, the stabilizer moves on its own, like a loose flap in a hurricane. The plane flips upside down. In the cockpit, Captain Thompson and First Officer Tansky fight desperately for control. They try everything, throttle, rudder, flaps, but it's no use. At 4:21 p.m., Alaska Airlines Flight 261 nosedives into the Pacific Ocean. There are no survivors. Here are the final audio recordings of Alaska Airlines Flight 261.
Alaska 261, take enter.
Yeah, we're at 26,000 feet. We are in a vertical dive. Not a dive yet, but we've lost vertical control of our airplane.
Alaska 261, Roger.
We're at 23.7, request. Yeah, we got it back under control there. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like Delta X-ray, we do have that airplane quite high and up at 1 o'clock.
0 Delta X-ray, Roger. Just kind of keep your eye on him. He's having some pretty bad problems up there right now. As far as we know right now, he doesn't have any intent to go below 17,000, but keep your eye on him, okay?
Will do, Delta X-ray.
Thanks.
Hi there, Delta X-ray. That plane has just started to do a big, huge plunge.
A big, huge plunge. Thank you. Skywest 5154. The MD-80 is one becoming about 2 o'clock, about 10 miles now. Another pilot reports he's really looking pretty bad. They're heading to your right. Do you see him?
Yes, sir. I concur. He is definitely in a nose-down position, descending quite rapidly.
Okay, very good. Keep your eye on him. Alaska 261, are you here with the ship, sir?
Plane's inverted, sir.
Okay, very good. It looks like he's turning over in front of you now, Skywest 5154. You still got your eyes on him, sir?
Very good.
right. He definitely out of control.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, he's inverted.
Okay.
And he's just hit the water. Yes, sir. He hit the water. He's down.
Okay.
Thanks so much for watching till the end. It means a lot. This video took a ton of work, so if you enjoyed it, a like and a sub would be amazing. Want more content like this? Let me know in the comments. Stay safe and see you next time.